Some experts ask me about whether they can sign the individual service contract under the civil law or not. I say no, because that the law, the labor law, the new labor law of Vietnam, the 2019 labor law, clearly regulate that all the employment relationship in all natures must be consent in the form of the labor contract, not the civil service contract.
Happy New Year, Stephen.
Happy New Year, Chang. How are you?
Fine, thanks. How about you?
Good. Very good.
Great. So today there are many audience who wants to know more about, learn more about your expertise, in which I know that you have more than 15 years in assisting many foreigners to relocate and facilitate their business in Vietnam. So I want to ask about the general process and also the key concerns for the foreign investors who want to stay and do business in Vietnam.
Okay. As you may know that after the 1995, as the time the Vietnam and the U.S. officially to make the friendship after the war, and we closed the history. And from that time, the Vietnamese market opened to the world, and American people, EU people, and all the other people of other countries also come to Vietnam to do the business, and up to now, there's around 3 million foreigners in Vietnam. Particularly in Ho Chi Minh City, the number is around 1 million to 1.5 million expat. And the regulation to control the expat is also have developed from time to time, and up to now, the stricter regulation applied to the expat is stricter than in the past, not stricter than in other country. In comparison with other country, I see that the regulation of Vietnam is also more comfortable.
Wow.
In comparison with Singapore is very strict, but in Vietnam I see that the regulation is still comfortable, and of course in the competitive market between the expat and the Vietnamese local people. For the expat to legally stay in Vietnam, particularly to legally work in Vietnam, they must have a work permit. And the work permit require there's some critical condition on the work permit, but there are two most important conditions. The first is the enterprise need to have an explanation why they need to recruit expat for the position of their company. They need to prove that they cannot recruit any Vietnamese local people for that position, and then they have no choice and they decide to recruit the expat. So the explanation must be persuasive to the authority. The second critical condition is that the expat himself or herself must satisfy the condition, and I mean that the qualification about their expertise, their qualification, education, experience. Based on that, the government will consider to approve for the work permit. And of course, around these two conditions, there are also small conditions, but it's not critical. That's the things the expat need to know. And furthermore, if the expat come to Vietnam and sign the labor contract or the individual service without the work permit, that's illegal. The law only allow the expat to enter into the employment when he or she has a work permit. Some experts ask me about whether they can sign the individual service contract under the civil law or not. I say no, because that the law, the labor law, the new labor law of Vietnam, the 2019 labor law, clearly regulate that own the employment relationship in all natures must be consent in the form of the labor contract, not the civil service contract.
That's interesting. So you mentioned that the regulations for the foreign investors and also the foreigners to work in Vietnam are stricter than before. So can you share why is that? Why the policy, the regulation behind? What is the back force for that?
Because you know that after the 1975, that is the time reuniting the whole country. And from 1975 to the 1995, Vietnam is in the progress of starting the society. But the economy of Vietnam at that time is not open to the world. Only after the 1995 it's open. And from the 1995 up to now it's over the over the 20 years already, right? And there is the new generation, the young, energetic, and smart people was born, and with a high education. And Vietnamese government also understand that if we should not depend on the foreigner or the expat. The best way to grow the country is to grow the people, Vietnamese people. That's the reason why the Vietnamese government want to protect the job for the Vietnamese people who stay here, growing up here, and have the contribution to this country for life. And also creating the chance for the Vietnamese people to learn, develop their career. That's the reason why the Vietnamese government, this is not about the short-term strategy. This is the long-term strategy and strategic plan of the top leaders. They want to create more jobs for Vietnamese people. That's the reason why the regulation are more and more stricter. It's also fair like in Singapore. You can see that Singaporean government also want to create a job for the Singaporean rather than the job for the expat. I think that this is the trend of the world, not only in Vietnam. And some expats also have recommended that why Vietnamese government are so strict, and they already stay here for a long time, and this is their home country and other things. I think that's only the very minor people. They may not understand about the policy. They don't. They may not understand about the trend. So they agree that they stay here a long time. They have good contribution here, but from time to time, the society have to develop. Right? We cannot, based on that reason, to stop the development of the country, particularly for the Vietnamese people. And of course, as I said, the two critical conditions, if you can satisfy that, okay, the government will grant the work permit to the expat. The first is that need to prove that the Vietnamese company cannot recruit the local people and need to recruit the expat. And the second thing, the expats must have enough qualification and expertise experience to get a job from the company. I think this is fair in comparison with other countries, the same regulation. Yeah.
That's interesting. So I want to know more about the requirements. Is it true that all foreigners need to obtain the work permit to legally work in Vietnam?
There is another option, that's the exemption or the work permit. And of course, there is some condition you are considered to exempt from the work permit. But exempt from the work permit, you need to also apply for the certification or the exemption of the work permit. I think that the process are still the same like the process to apply for the work permit. It's just another process, and you apply for the certification or the exemption of the work permit. The condition may less strict than the applying for the work permit, but in nature you need also have some confirmation from the government. Exemption does not mean that you don't need to apply anything. You come and you work here. It's not like that. Okay, if you have to apply for the work permit, there is a work permit for you from the government, and if you are exempt from the work permit, there also the confirmation of the government, written confirmation that you are exempt from the work permit. And yeah,
That's very strict, I must say.
I think that is fair because Vietnam is this can prove that Vietnam is developing, right? And if the young foreigners, the young expats who would like to have a job in Vietnam, they can also do the same. If they have enough qualification and the company can prove that they have a need to use the expat and the government see that it's okay, so they will run the work permit. I think today we should talking about the fair competition rather than strict or not strict, because this is a trend, obvious trend. Okay, we cannot depend too much on the expat, because the expat after they finish the employment here, they return to their home country. They go to another country. But for the Vietnamese people, they have the family here. They have the life here. Parents, grandparents, many generations sacrifice for the country. And the future generation, we also was born here. And so that's the reason why the policy of the government should put that on the priority. And of course, we also welcome the expat, the skillful worker, and on the management position that the Vietnamese people have not yet had enough the qualification to keep that kind of position. And at that time, if the expat have enough condition and the company can prove that they need that position and no Vietnamese people can take that position, okay, the government can consider.
So the work permit is for the cases where the foreigners have an offer from a sponsoring company here in Vietnam for them to work. But there are cases where the foreigners do not have sponsoring companies in Vietnam. So in these cases, they usually come into Vietnam and look around, learn about the environment. So is there any requirement for these people?
The requirement for these people, if they don't have a work permit and they just come to Vietnam, look around to seek for the opportunities. Yeah. And they have any formal employment here, they may apply for the tourist visa or the business visa. And if you stay here for the tourist visa and business visa, you are allowed to stay only. You are not allowed to work. I know that many expats come here to earn the money. Some expats go to the English center to teach the English. And they also use the tourist visa or business visa. That's illegal. So for any reason, if they want to work, even the small, the minor job, whatever job they take, they must have the work permit, and the company recruiter must sponsor for that kind of work permit.
Okay, so you are telling us about illegal. So what is the consequence of that illegal activities?
The consequence of that legal is if employment relationship is not around with the work permit, that employment relationship is invalid under the law. So the expat, the rights of expat cannot be protected by the labor law of Vietnam. And on the other side, the company also be sanctioned by the government because you recruit the expat illegally. You don't have the work permit. It's not fair. Why other company they have the work permit, they apply for the work permit, you don't want to apply for the work permit?
Yeah. So the work permit is to work. So what about the stay?
Stay. You based on there are many ways for you to stay in Vietnam. You based on the visa, visa like the tourist visa, business visa, and resident card, temporary resident card. If you have a work permit or the confirmation of the work permit exemption, you may apply for the TRC, temporary resident card. Or an expat getting married with a Vietnamese, he also consider for the marriage visa up to 5 years.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting to know. So it is a very interesting talk. So can you share more about your firm's expertise in labor and also the relocation services for foreigners?
The corporate counsel teams are having the Expat. Our expertise is having the clients, the multinational corporation, to apply for the work permit and relocation service in compliance with the law. We have been checking on the legal risk, have the company have the good explanation why they need the expat for the position in the company. And we also have the expat to prove with the government about their qualification on experience and expertise. And I know that some expat, they don't have enough qualification, but you don't have enough qualification, but you can prove that you are the most suitable one for that position, and you know the tactics to explain with the government and to prove that you are competent to that position. The government may also approve. So we are very good at in helping the company in explanation and helping the expat in proving their qualification to the government. That's the reason why, and we do only work with the multinational corporation only because they understand our philosophy. We are different from other agency, visa agency or work permit agency. We are not working like that. We focus on the risk compliance, corporate compliance, governance, legal compliance to ensure that the whole process are in compliance with the law and there is no legal implication for the company. And because when you're applying for the work permit, it's not about the work permit itself. It's also relating to the labor contract you sign with the expat. Also relating to the dependent visa of their family as well. And when and furthermore in the future, if the government come to inspect the company, they will also inspect about the application for the work permit. And they would like to check whether the process of applying the work permit in compliance with the law or not. If there is something not in compliance with the law, they may check and they may question. And if they see something wrong, they may withdraw the work permit and they may apply the sanction.
Wow, that's serious.
Yeah, because there's many agencies they apply the work permit. That by the illegal way. And there's in Da Nang, there's a celebrity case now. The official in Da Nang, he received the money, the receipt lobby, and he used some trick to apply the work permit for some company, and the police know about it, and he's under investigation now.
That's interesting. Thank you for the talk. I have myself learned a lot from your expertise. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
My pleasure. Have a nice day too.